Welcome to another inspiring episode of Impact Leaders with Simply Suparnaa, the show where we bring to you stories of changemakers, visionaries, and leaders driving real impact across India. Of course, we get a lot of requests to be featured on the show, but this is truly a privilege of the SABERA awardee. And before I bring on to your screens the impact leader that will unfold their story here today, I'd like to start by invoking the higher power. Shakti has held me in good stead, and I'd like to start by reciting a very old Sanskrit verse, the Saraswati Vandana. Ya kundendu tusharahara dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrita, ya veena varadanda manditakara, ya shweta padamasana, ya brahmachitta shankar prabhutibhi, devai sada vandita, samam patu Saraswati, bhagavati nishesh jadyapaha. As you all are aware, Shakti has held me in good stead. And this very old Sanskrit verse talks about dispelling the darkness of ignorance that shrouds our hearts and minds with the wisdom of knowledge, the light of knowledge. And without much further ado, let me bring to your screens our very impactful leader today, Dr. Ajay Kela. Dr. Ajay Kela is the president and CEO of the Wadhwani Foundation, a global non-profit dedicated to accelerating economic development through job creation. With a remarkable career spanning Silicon Valley and a successful transition from the tech industry to the development sector. Most recently, the Wadhwani Foundation was recognized as the non-profit of the year at SABERA 2024. Thank you so much, Dr. Kela, for doing this for us.
Yeah, thank you, Suparna, for having me over, and delighted to speak to you.
First things first, Dr. Kela, a very successful stint in the Silicon Valley, very aspirational career, IIT Mumbai. I know my own brother, after his IITs, kind of ran across towards the Silicon Valley and has never looked back again. How is it that you decided to focus back on India and the development sector?
Maybe to answer that, I may want to take you back all the way to my childhood, and then the experiences from there, and then along the way, some experiments I tried, and then the opportunity came with the Wadhwani Foundation. So I grew up as a family of six, four of us. I was the youngest. So six of us, very low middle class. Until I went to IIT, we were still all six of us living in 370 square foot apartment. I left, my brother got married, so it balanced out the numbers, number six leaving and new six coming in. I think the transformation happened in myself and my family through the education I got with at IIT, and then had the opportunity to go to the US, and our lives got transformed phenomenally. Just not my life, but the lives of my siblings and the nephews and nieces that came out of in that generation. So we have seen sort of where probably all of us were headed to live a life of mediocrity. Now, generations have changed. Me, my siblings, my nephews and nieces, and then I think the subsequent generations that are going to come out are in good hands. Mm-hmm. So that transformation I experienced personally. And in 2003, I returned to India. I had left India in 1981. I did my PhD there and worked in Silicon Valley for a number of years. 2003, I returned. Of course, at that time, I was doing much better than lower middle class. So I could afford I was living in a gated community. I could afford a chauffeur and a cook at home. I'll start with the end story where they are and tell you how so my driver or the chauffeur is today earning close to a crore.
Wow.
He married a Wipro engineer. His His
Wow.
kids are no different than you and me. And my cook, he regularly conducts now weddings of 4,000 people in Bombay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll tell you these two stories on how they all came about because I was deeply involved with both of them.
Okay.
So in 2003, when I came here, I was part of a startup. Ramesh Wadhwani and I were just starting a company. So I was spending, 10, 12 hours a day in the office. And this guy was just sitting 12 hours waiting for me, doing nothing. So I encouraged him to register for this Cisco CCNA course. And
Mm-hmm.
all he needed was a laptop, and I got connected with the Wi-Fi that was in the company, given he was sitting in the premises anyway. So he finished that, and then we got him to finish the CNAB. And of course, credit to him that he took it seriously, he was dedicated, focused, and finished the job. The
Mm-hmm.
investment on my side was minuscule. I don't remember the exact numbers, was probably 8,000, 10,000 rupees to register for the course and so on. On graduation, I kind of opened the first door for him by giving him the first job in my company itself as a junior network engineer. But his, tenacity and can-do attitude and wanting to succeed, he became in a few years head of networking, and then he's gone on and on to got other jobs. So that's his success story. And his kids now are no different than my kids. From the future would be similarly, on my cook side. So I was living in a gated community. The um, Diwali, holy functions, we all get together, and typically the organizing committee. I was not part of the organizing committee, but they would hire someone from outside. Uh, one such year, I said, "Hey, why don't you give this guy a chance?" And a lot of them have already tasted his food, as we would invite them over to our place. So they
Mm-hmm.
gave him a chance, and so then he himself was pretty enterprising. He basically said, "Okay, I'm willing to cater to." At that time, probably there was 200-300 people in the community. So he rented all the cooking equipment, he rented all the plates and everything, and got the waiters going. And anyway, that was his first experiment, and he did well. Of course, his food was phenomenal. And then he kept on doing this, and then that's where he got this idea. Okay, now I can do it
Sure.
at a much bigger scale, and
Sure.
that's what happened. And again, his kids are now going to be no different. In fact, he named his kids Payal and Ankur, which is the same name as my kids, Payal and
Oh,
Ankur.
really? How interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
So you have been one hell of an inspiring personality in the people that surround. And I think that's most important. But tell me, how did Wadhwani Foundation come to focus? I know the focus essentially is on job creation, on entrepreneurship, on skills, so that individuals are ready for the jobs that they apply. So how did that happen?
yeah, absolutely. So Ramesh and I were doing this for-profit company for a while. And Ramesh, if I go back, Ramesh is a entrepreneur himself. So 69 graduate from IIT Bombay. He also went to the US. And on graduation, he has always built companies. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think he himself recognized the power of creating companies and creating jobs on his for profit side of the business. For now, he's created somewhere around 50 companies, uh, probably hundreds of thousands of jobs. His personal wealth is in several $1 billion from that. So, here again, he was driven by not only wealth creation on one side, but
Mm-hmm.
also creating jobs.
Mm-hmm.
through this entrepreneurship. So
Mm-hmm.
he was already talking that language, and he
Mm-hmm.
had, of course, had done it at a much larger scale. He and I worked on the for-profit side for a while, and I had done my experiments. And so when I was exiting after we sold the company, uh, at that time, I was already 50 plus. I was far more comfortable than in terms of financial stability than what I need. My needs haven't changed from what I was as a lower middle class guy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was fairly easy for me to say, okay, Romesh has this vision. He will be able to make an impact at a far greater scale.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not very hard for me to jump onto this bandwagon and say,
Mm-hmm.
I spent my first 30 years building my own skills, in the next 20 years kind of taking care of my immediate family, and now it was time to go take care of a global family. And
Super.
so that's why I jumped in.
And how I understand this, Dr. Kela, is that you not only have created that impact through Wadhwani Foundation in India, but this is spread across 20 countries across the world. So I wanted to understand for my own knowledge, have the learnings been the same across geographies that you've gone, or do you have to tackle with individual cultural differences and reinvent yourself each time?
Some reinvention, but the world has become fairly global. So wherever we go, uh, 80% is similar, and there is 20% that requires some kind of tweaking in terms of our offering. But the our model is that we don't sort of operate where we are based in US or we are based in India, and then running operations there. We hire local teams. So in everywhere we have build a local leader and a local team who understand the nuances. So they take our offerings that we have and to tweak it to the local needs. And
And
yeah.
one very interesting aspect, Dr. Kela, that I find with the Wadhwani Foundation is, of course, a lot of people are working on tech for good, but to align this with the government, enable to empower them, empower the government's departments to upskill them. I think that is something very unique that I've seen with the Wadhwani. How did that come about?
Yeah. So I'll take two steps back and then answer your question. So given, Romesh is massively privileged, right, with several billions of dollars. In fact, he's put a couple of $1 billion into the foundation. The impact we want to create is at a national level,
Mhm,
versus, I can come to India and, put 1,000 people in a family wage job and transform their lives, but that is going to have a very minuscule impact on the need of the country. And given that we have the resources, the financial resources, and I'll talk about the technical resources as well, we wanted to make an impact at a national scale. And the easiest way, or probably the only way to make an impact at a national scale, is to build partnerships with large, big organizations. And government is the largest organization.
mhm,
So that's why we whenever we enter a country, first is we operate on our own for 2 3 years. We iron out the model, we demonstrate the success in the model, and then we
mhm,
take it to our partners to scale. Look, with your help, we will scale it at the need of the nation. So
mhm.
that's how we engage almost now in every country we go. We engage. So the three pillars for us to scale are really, one is technology. Today, we should be able to leverage technology, mobile technology, AI technology, to provide high quality interventions at every level to wherever the people are. So
Mhm.
eliminate the friction. So, and all of us actually come from a very strong technology background. Our primary offering is really a Genie AI technology platform.
Mhm.
So that's one lever for scaling. It's the basically to reach through technology.
Mhm.
The other lever to scale is through governments. So, for example, right, we offer entrepreneurship courses to college students so that they look at uh, entrepreneur, entrepreneurship as an alternate career. They become job creators rather than job seekers. And we've
Mhm.
been working on it. We have a bunch of universities that have signed up. But if we go to the government and say, you know what, you need to create jobs today, most students, want to try out entrepreneurship. They have seen successes. How about just like math and science is a required curriculum? Why don't
Mhm.
we make an entrepreneurship course also a curriculum? If they do that, then we don't need to go school by school by school. uh, we can, now it has become mandatory that to have an entrepreneurship course, and then we have the platform and we offer it at no cost to them anyway. So we are
Mhm.
not trying to sort of, so we, given that we are not trying to make money out of it, it becomes an easy partnership.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
the engagement with the government.
Mhm.
There's another level of engagement with the government is where we want to um, empower the government so that they themselves can leverage these technologies, because we may be operating only in job creation and job fulfillment, but the government has health and farming and all kinds of other operations. And given the power of technology, given the power of AI that we have adopted in our curriculum, we 3 years ago, when Ramesh and I met with Prime Minister Modi, we were talking about, painting the picture that just like digital economies, or the digital world has changed everyone from a
Correct.
kirana store to a local vendor all the way to the top Amazons of the world. The next decade will be all about AI. And
Correct.
for government that serves 1.5 billion people, if their officers and their ministries are not comfortable with AI, they would not be able to leverage this power. So
Mhm.
we volunteered to provide them from, get the best AI experts from the industry and install them in key ministries. So we have
Wow.
installed about 6 AI officers and a team in key ministries that
Wow.
are now really defining the AI roadmap for each of the ministries, health and agriculture and women and child development and so on.
Mhm.
And besides defining the roadmap, we also take on some very high impact national level initiatives and pilot them, working in parallel with the government so that they can scale. It's similar to what Aadhaar has done for identity management, and UPI has done for financial inclusion. We are trying to do that in job creation, job fulfillment, and farming and other areas. You're on mute. Yeah.
It's quite inspiring with what I've got a bad throat. What Wadhwani has managed to achieve. But I would want to understand from you what your experience with working with the government in India as opposed to working with governments across the world has been,
Yeah.
especially with the AI in mind.
Hmm. So I I think our experience in all the countries we are operating has been phenomenal. Um, and I feel the reason for that is we are in this business of, providing or creating jobs to the population of the country, uh, upskilling people to fill those jobs. That need is appealing to all government officials. They want the population to be, you know, gainfully employed. The economy will grow. The bad elements sort of will diminish. So this sort of an offering is appealing across the board and across actually even political parties. So even if parties change, this is such a horizontal need that folks, it's easy to embrace us. Uh, and that's what we have found.
Yeah.
Um, Suddenly, you hear about, oh, in India is massively, India government is corrupt, and Indonesia government is corrupt, and Mexico is corrupt. In more than 15 years of operations, I have not seen any of that. No one has, despite us having fairly deep pockets as a foundation, none of the government officials anyway has even made any kind of untoward requests of us. So it's been
That's very
phenomenal.
heartening to, very, very heartening to know. But I want to come across now with this very pertinent question, something which is very close to my heart. With all the tech giants across the world now, and most of them are obviously based out of the US, including Amazon, including Google, Meta, everybody's rolling back their DEI offerings. Now, I feel it's a great disservice for gender sensitivity and empowering, especially women. Is there a focus while you focus on entrepreneurship? Is there a dedicated focus on women? And the reason why I say this, considering that we're still a developing economy, and we have very large sectors of marginalized population, and my interaction with a few foundations working indigenously for the past many years, like for example the Tasha Society and the founder, I spoke with Meenakshi Nair in my last interaction, and she said, the basic principles of entrepreneurship, and for women, and a woman specifically from a marginalized sector, she naturally has those skills, maximizing output with a minimum input. A woman handling a family of 5 or 6 people with limited resources, she's as it is bootstrapped, but she wants to create the best output for them, and still be able to save for a rainy day. So she has those skills inherently. Is that something that is on the focus with Wadhwani Foundation?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, our basic premise is, we feel that we are very privileged, and it's our obligation to now give back to those that are marginalized or less privileged. So at the broader bucket, we want to work with every cohort that is marginalized. And
Mm-hmm.
certainly, women is one such group where the employment rate, when you compare in India or Indonesia and a lot of other countries, of women compared to men, there is a big gap.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the opportunities, especially in rural areas for women, is diminishes, uh, and they are fairly driven. They are homemakers. They are fairly driven by wanting to transform the lives of their children, which fits in well with our models. If I back up, our model has always been, uh, not about every time you're hungry, you raise your hand, we feed you a fish. It was all about, can I empower you to fish so you too can live a life of dignity? And by that, we mean you acquire a family supporting wage job so that not only you, but your children are transformed, and then hence generations are transformed.
Correct.
Um, and if we can do that with women, making women, especially in rural areas, entrepreneurs who can double their income, their kids and will live a very different life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we started entrepreneurship 10 years ago, but we were primarily focused on Silicon Valley kinds of entrepreneurs because they create, you know, thousands of jobs. About a year ago, we said, let's jump on to also micro entrepreneurship. So micro entrepreneurship is those that will create, one job, two jobs, five jobs. India has 60 million businesses today that hire more less than five people.
Mm-hmm.
If we can even take 10% of them, uh, say 6 million businesses, and help
Mm-hmm.
them add one more job, we will be adding 6 million jobs through them per year. If they
Correct.
only had, and the need of the country is 8, 9 million jobs a year. So there is
Mm-hmm.
a massive opportunity in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working with now special. In fact, in recently we initiated with the Tamil Nadu government uh, a special women cohort for entrepreneurs. So we
Mm-hmm.
are. Uh, so anyway, long and short is yes. Uh, Work on marginalized population. Certainly, women as a group is marginalized. So we are looking to see how we can help them.
Super. I'm also privy to the fact that you have a meeting at the PMO tomorrow. So, what is it that we can look at with Wadhwani Foundation and the PMO in the near future?
So every few years we introduce a new initiative. So we have not talked much about initiative. I'll briefly touch upon them and then talk about this new initiative. Um, so we had started, decades ago with one initiative, one country. Today
Mm-hmm.
we have uh, five initiatives. Within each of those initiatives, we have two to three programs. So probably we have dozen programs and 20 countries. So we have dramatically scaled. The entrepreneurship initiative is all about, creating entrepreneurs, supporting startup entrepreneurs, supporting small business or up to $20 million business entrepreneurs to help grow and scale, and who would then create jobs.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, we have skilling. There we primarily work with the those that are marginalized. So those that stop at a 10th grade or a 12th grade, or are going to tertiary fourth tier colleges where the prospect of a family wage job are not as high. Um, uh, a new initiative now around creating jobs is what we are calling Wadhwani Innovation Network. So, about 10 years ago, we tried an experiment. So, this all stems from there is a lot of fantastic research that is happening in Indian universities, but where it ends up is in publication of papers and it stops there. But
Correct.
if you look at Stanford, Berkeley in Silicon Valley, or Boston, or MIT, Harvard, they take the research and translate into products or commercialization. And
Correct.
in India, not much of that was happening. So
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, we funded a project in IIT Bombay. It was
Mm-hmm.
called Wadhwani Center for Biosciences and Bioengineering. The idea was to build low-cost biosensors, biomedical devices.
Mm-hmm.
Over 10 years, we funded about 110 projects. 10 of
Mm-hmm.
them got commercialized, either products or startups.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on that success, last year we launched the same program in multiple institutes in the country, and
Mm-hmm.
also in multiple verticals. So,
Mm-hmm.
IIT Bombay, Delhi, Kanpur, Hyderabad, IISc, um, IIT Dhanbad now for mining. So all of these are now funded by us to help take their research into translate them into products and services. So
Super.
that's one. In partnership with AICT, AICT independently also had a similar idea, and they
Mm-hmm.
are setting up 13 innovation centers all around the country.
Okay.
And and each of these innovation centers, so for example, there's one in Jaipur, one in Vishakhapatnam. There is a team of 5 or 6 people that scout for research in the local community, local colleges, and so on, and help them in the translation journey. So we are co-funding these, and they focus now not on the top institute, but the next level of institutes.
Okay.
That's our second initiative. Our third initiative, I don't know if you have heard of Government of India's program called ANRF.
Mm-hmm.
That's another 50,000 crore parliament approved project on innovation, driving
Mm-hmm.
innovation in the country. So we are signing up with them to co-fund some of those innovations that they are going to. So we will co-select and co-fund those initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the third piece. The fourth piece is we are setting up two what we are calling super hubs. AI and biosciences, bioengineering is going to dominate and change the world for the next 10 years.
Correct.
We are setting up a school of AI at IIT Kanpur. It will be a
Mm-hmm.
brand new campus from bachelor's to postdoc. They'll offer courses in AI. We are funding about 6 centers within that campus: Center for Advanced AI, Center for Cybersecurity, Center for Robotics, and so on. A similar program in IIT Bombay on biosciences, bioengineering. So combining all of this, and given we are working with IIT institutes and government, is what we are trying to see if we can get um, Prime Minister involved. So that's
Wow,
this.
super, super. Just on a tangent, I just wanted to share this that while IITs are great and you're an alumnus of IIT, but there are a lot of smaller institutes, and I've had that personal interaction a couple of years back where we were going across universities in different states in the country talking about combating violence against women. Now, and we were specifically focusing on universities which are nestled very deep into the states, and there was one university while you were speaking, I was reminded of that in Kerala, Thrissur district. I mean, literally, you have to reach one of the entry points is through crossing a river there and through a boat and reaching there. And they had a full-fledged AI program there in the Engineering Institute. And I was
Correct.
so pleasantly surprised to know that. And I think, if you can focus on these, and we all know the Chandrayaan mission and the story behind how these engineers from very small institutes and not really the IITs, because like they say, IITs is all heading towards the Silicon Valley, and grateful for Wadhwani to have looked back. So I think that focus would also be good.
No, absolutely. We totally believe and buy in, and that's why when we saw what AICT is doing with innovation centers and not focusing on the IITs but the next generation, we jumped onto it because we need to democratize innovation as well, and it's not going to sit only in the IITs. I mean, India is known for jugaad, right? Uh, and and the villages are known for even superior jugaad, and jugaads are innovations in their own way. The movie Three Idiots, right? We all know all sorts of jugaads that were happening there. So and the government of India's ANRF program is given it's a 50,000 crore program, it's not around a few institutes, it's to democratize. And where we are coming in is because of our strength in technology. We are now enhancing our platform for research to translation.
Okay.
So now the primary audience will be researchers from all sorts of institutes to be able to leverage our platform, on how to connect with experts that can take their research into commercialization, how to connect with investors that are involved in deep tech, how to connect with mentors in their field, all through a mobile app. So
Mhm.
enhancing this now where the beneficiaries are the researchers as opposed to, a underprivileged kid that is looking to upskill. But we can use the same technology.
Super. And on a parting note, I'd also I'm flashing the Wadhwani Foundation website address at the bottom. Are you open to collaborations, sharing your learning since you have an immense amount of learning, or supporting smaller organizations who are doing great amount of work, or looking for partners? Of course, you work with the largest of agencies, including the governments of countries. But are you open to also smaller organizations collaborating with you? And how can they do it if yes?
Yeah. So we actually have two foundations in the US. One is an operating foundation, and within the operating foundation is all the stuff I talked about today is part of that. We also have a Wadhwani Charitable Foundation,
Okay.
uh, and that foundation focuses on uh, other organizations that are involved in our mission of
Mhm.
creating jobs and upskilling people to fill those jobs. So if there
Okay.
is someone else that is doing a better job of upskilling people or creating entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
we um, we are happy to support them through financial means as well as through our technology as well as through our program teams that are all over the world. So if they are successful, say in India, we can take them to Brazil and Mexico and Philippines and all that. So in fact, that's a new initiative besides the the Wadhwani Innovation Network. I am kicking off right now and looking for a leader. And in terms of, you said small organization, because we want to make an impact at a large organization, we are looking for partners that have achieved some scale. And so they might be working with smaller organization, but we ourselves won't be able to work with too small an organization because
Got it.
our goal is, so we look for organizations that are making an impact at uh, few thousands per year versus few hundreds.
So,
Uh,
how does one get in touch with the Wadhwani Charitable Foundation, which is focusing
yeah.
in India?
uh, it's on our website. They can, log on to the website and um, get in there. And within a few months, we are going to roll out a platform where they can submit their proposals as well
Oh,
directly.
super. Super.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And congratulations one more time for your win, and very rightly so, for the non-profit of the year in India. And all the best for your ventures ahead. Thank you so much, Dr. Kela, for doing this for us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Suparna.